Hello, and we're back. It's good to be here again. We just actually got off of a live, but we have another topic we're going to bring up. First things first, I'm Rico. I am the replacement for those who complied back in 2021, and it's nice to meet you. For those of you who do not understand what I'm talking about, there is going to be a big opening pretty soon. There already is. If you look at the last video that we shared on the Safe and Effective podcast on Instagram, or the one we just shared on X or Rumble or on Facebook, then you can kind of figure out what I'm trying to say. I am a stenographer of sorts, a historian. Someone's going to have to be here to explain to people what happened in these past few years. And someone's going to have to replace the journalists and those people that sit in behind cameras like I'm doing now with the light. You guys might not know this, but you will in a few years. Those people that are in the last video that are dropping, they're having a reaction to these lights. See, I'm pure blood. I'm not having a reaction. I won't have a reaction. But those who are not will. And by the time they figure it out, most of them will be gone anyway and, kind of be pointless. However, there's going to be a huge gap in between where someone's going to have to make up the space. So that's where myself and other content creators are coming in. So it's nice to meet you all. What I want to do is talk about the Department of Education and poor parenting, because we live in a country where we share space and we're neighbors with a lot of people that the Department of Education and their parents have failed. I will highlight that in a segment that we're going to call Reading the Comments. The comments are comedy in a way, actually. The comment sections are comedy. So we're going to, usually we do X, but we'll go ahead and do Instagram. So I was sent this. I sent it on Instagram and I wanted to read it. Governor Greg Abbott, an amazing man actually, who saved the state of Texas and essentially saved the country. There was only 3 states that did fight back against the lockdowns, and thank God for Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is such an amazing governor that everyone is moving to Texas and moving out of these other states where some of these people live. But it's funny, when you read the comment section, this is from the Dallas Dosage on Instagram. A lot of the people in these comments are the sheltered, spoiled people that actually lived in Texas through the lockdown, so they don't appreciate what Governor Greg Abbott has done for them. Governor Greg Abbott is contemplating removing DEI in all levels of public education, which it should be, being that it is illegal. And it contradicts the 1964 Civil Rights Act, because DEI is exclusive. It removes people. It doesn't include people. Who does it remove? Straight white males, Asians, and it basically just includes or promotes gays, homosexuals, trans, not necessarily even Black people, but comprehension is key. And with a failed Department of Education, you generate children who have poor comprehension skills and do not understand how things work, which eventually leads to breeding an entirely new class of Democrats, a perpetual class of Democrats. I'll show you let's go through these comments together. Wheelchair ramps are DEI. They are not. That is actually the Disabilities Act. Abbott doing anything but helping Texans? Well, maybe not anything. It is not a governor's job to help you. The governor is not law enforcement. The governor is not a fire department. The governor is not supposed to feed you. You have a skewed misconception of how politics and politicians work, my friend. Let's just roll him into I-35 at 5:45 p.m. Written by a heterosexually challenged black male. So he's gay. We have another segment coming up, actually, that explores the possibility if our republic is in a war directly with the black community and the gay community. Now, I've proposed this for the last several years. It's proven every single day. It's just hard for people to want to accept or to admit. So it's not really a popular topic, but it is one that should be discussed and explored. And guess what? If I'm the only one that's going to do it, I'll just do it by myself. And when more people catch on, which eventually they will, like even now, if people send me secret messages and say, hey, I agree with your videos, I love what you're saying, I just can't publicly come out and I can't share it, I can't comment on it. People call me and they want to have 1 and 2 hour long conversations with me about my videos. And I'm like, well, why don't you comment, or why don't you join the live? Why don't you discuss with me? Oh, no, I can't. So whatever. Speak now or forever hold your peace, right? That's how it goes. Let's see here. What's with all the banning? I thought America was the land of opportunity and inclusion for all. I guess not. Literally banning DEI promotes inclusion. However, there is nothing official saying that America absolutely has to be the land of opportunity for everyone. We're not the land of opportunity if you're a pedophile. We're not the land of opportunity if you're a felon or if you're a career criminal, if you're a murderer. We do not provide inclusion for everyone, not all. We do have restrictions. This is not just a free-for-all. If you're an illegal, you've learned that recently. And if you haven't learned it yet, the night is young. Just give it time and you'll see. This is a land of laws. DEI breaks the law. DEI is not the law of the land. DEI is something new that was put in place to help overthrow our government, not to stabilize it and help people. DEI was something promoted in the media by the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum. It's a subsidiary of ESG, which stands for Environmental Social Governance. Environmental social governance is how big companies that control our banks, our governments, shadow governments that should not control banks, have authority over banks. And what they did was they gave banks a new scoring system over a credit rating system. And it was based on your environmental social governance. So basically, how you interact with the environment. Do you include gays and blacks in your company? And in social credit score systems that we don't agree with. They're unconstitutional and they encroach on our freedom in the United States. So we're not. So that's why they had to do it in a roundabout way. Now, banks will tell companies that these companies have a DEI score, that they have an ESG score based on their DEI. So what they have to do in turn is develop these diversity, equity, inclusion standards, and they have to meet these quotas so that they can qualify for loans and funding from the banks based on an ESG scoring system that should not be there. That is all freshly new, only been going on the past 4 years, and now it's all over. You can rewind the video if you want me to repeat it to you again or explain it to you. I talk about it all the time because for my people and my friends, people I know in California, we have no idea what any of this stuff is. We never heard of it. We didn't care about it. We just don't pay attention to anything. So this is not for everyone. This is just for particularly my audience or people who watch me who have questions. And these are some answers. Let's go down to, let's see here. Just say you don't want any schools in Texas, Wheelchair Willie. It's crazy that we came to the point of where now people are making fun of handicapped people. And you would think that The people who cry about being made fun of the most, which is the oppressed community that feels racism destroys them and they're tormented every day by white men, you would think that they would be a little bit more sensitive to making fun of someone for having a disability, being that they have a mental disability. It's a mental disability, and in actuality, if you think that there's an imaginary white man that follows you around throughout your entire life and torments you, that's a sense of delusion that is unmeasurable, and it is a handicap. It is a mental handicap, and you should be medicated. Many of these people should. I mean, think about it. We're at the point now where they're making fun of disabled people. I thought you cared about inclusion and equality. I guess not when it comes to handicapped people, right? Man in wheelchair wanting to get rid of DEI is hilarious. You can't make this up. This would be like a trans person saying no to gays. Is it though? I mean, you can have gender dysphoria, but not be homosexual. I'm pretty sure the two do not run hand in hand. It's not the rule, and I'm sure there are exceptions. However, they are not mutually exclusive. There is no guarantee that just because someone has gender dysmorphia that they're necessarily going to be gay. If you look at the Jazz Jennings out of Florida, the mother took the son and manipulated him into thinking that he was a girl, chopped off his wee, make him use a dilator to keep the crevice from closing so that you can have a pretend fake hole that's not a vagina and that some pervert might want to use one day. Jazz Jennings is now actually dating women because he no longer wishes to be a confused, mentally ill trans person, and now dating women. So just because he's trans doesn't mean he's gay, or he would date men and that crevice will be getting used by some sicko. That's not an isolated case. There's a lot of parents that are doing that to their kids nowadays for social acceptance. It's just a modern form of, what do you call it? Stockholm syndrome, where you, not Stockholm syndrome. It's where you pretend that you have a sickness just so that you can get attention from people. What is that condition called? I'm drawing a blank right now, but he wanted his veneers. It's just it's just another form of that. I'll remember what it's called. DEI is the new way for white people to say the N-word. We see who you are. Actually, the N-word is nowadays a term of endearment. Calling someone white or racist means nothing anymore. It's actually a compliment. It means that you have an unbiased opinion and you won't just say what you think you should say for social acceptance anymore. It means that you're not afraid to use your freedom of speech just because you're afraid of getting canceled, because now you see that they've reached the limits of cancellation. You found out that really you can only cancel other black people. So if you're not black, you don't have nothing to worry about. And they can cancel Kanye. They haven't been able to successfully cancel anybody really lately, even Lil Baby. They tried to cancel him, couldn't work, and he's one of their own, a rapper. But if you notice, they can only cancel their own people. That's who Black Twitter can go after. They can't go after anybody who's not black, which is great. And now that we know the extent of their reach, people are not fearful anymore of just, saying what they want to say. I mean, we do have a freedom of speech for a reason. If you don't agree with freedom of speech, there are flights out of the country every hour on the hour. You don't necessarily have to stay here and subjugate yourself to rules and laws you don't like. Like, for example, if you don't like Trump, right? Do you know I know it's crazy to say, he's only the president of one country, this one. If you're not in the United States, you don't have to worry about Trump being your president. You can just go somewhere else. It's a simple solution. If I didn't like something somewhere, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't be there. I mean, if I didn't like my landlord, I wouldn't live there. I would move, So you do have an option. If you stay, then obviously that means it's not that bad. Your compliance is silence. It's deafening. You're basically, your actions show what you really feel. Let's see here. The most qualified and most talented are position for the positions, period. In DEI. Absolutely. Finally, one person. Are they going to remove wheelchair ramps? That is a DEI incentive. Again, this person, Trisha, is a product of failed parenting and as well as a failed education system. It's the reason I say it's systemic and it's the entire system is because there's no way this many adults who all went to public school, excuse me, because they all went to public school, let's be real. There's no way they all can share the same disillusions of reality on how the government works and how things work. DEI is brand new. The Disabilities Act has been around since, let's see here, American Disabilities Act has been around since the year of our Lord, 1990. So that means the Americans with Disabilities Act has been around, man, what, 35 years? 35 years. DEI is about 4 years old. There's no way you can be confused about the two. DEI is not an incentive for wheelchair ramps. That's not inclusion and diversity and equity is by having having wheelchair ramps. You are confused. But it's systemic because look how many of them are confused. Have you ever talked to one of them and maybe asked a question and said, hey, what does this mean? It's systemic. There's way too many of them. There's a few that have a mind of their own and, are mentally stable that you can talk to and they can have a conversation. But some of these beliefs are inbred in them from their parents or their parent. And the school just reinforces them because they don't correct you. They don't really teach you anything. It's a large free daycare that you go to every day. You're not really there to learn. You don't really learn anything past in public school, past third grade. That was it. Everything else, it's memorization. You're just repeating back indoctrination that, you were told years before. That's all it is. It's nothing more. It's not much less. It's not DEI to have a cripple as our governor. It is not. It is not. Going through the comments of any post is amazing. You learn a lot about the people. Again, so what about his wheelchair access? Isn't it amazing? It's like they share a brain. It's a hive mind mentality. And when you express different thoughts than theirs and you look like them, well, then you're no longer in the cult and you're having issues with them because they don't want you around them. What DEI is in public education? We should be focused on hiring, compensating, and retaining every qualified educator. Not too many people want to do it. Well, think about it. Why wouldn't they want to do it? What's the payoff? You get a bunch of idiot kids that you have to babysit. You can't teach them or correct them without their parents now wanting to call you a name, depending if you're white or not. They'll call you a racist just for wanting to correct their children on information that they have the wrong idea about, or they're not, and now they're removing the requirements to pass grades. If your son is reading at a 5th grade level, they will still let him advance to 10th grade or 11th grade and let him graduate high school with a 3rd grade reading and writing comprehension, because they said testing and a merit-based advancement in schools are hallmarks of white supremacy. So if you're listening to a person who's black or, from one of these groups, and they say that being able to read, being able to write, being able to do basic math are hallmarks of white supremacy. What they're telling you is that they're inferior, and so are their children. And to be smart and to learn are things that only a white person and their children should be able to do. This is not someone else telling them this. This is them telling you. This is them telling their children. This is them telling themselves. You're not allowed to say anything to their kids. And now they're telling you that they want their kids to be able to graduate even if they cannot pass the test. And guess what these leftist, gay, Democrat teachers and school administrators, because they took over your schools, right? You know what they say to that demand? They say yes, because they need Black people to do the dirty work for them. So whatever your demands are, they are going to cave into them and say, okay, no matter what they are, no matter how nonsensical, how dangerous, they are going to comply. And we're watching this. I'll listen to this piece of SHIT when he's able to stand on his own 2 feet, which is never. Black guy. Making fun of a handicapped, accomplished, successful governor. This likely felon who was a bum, who's probably living off of the government, is literally making fun of Greg Abbott for being handicapped and saying that we should not have forced DEI in our schools, and it should be back to a merit-based meritocracy based on your credentials, based on your expertise, based on your level of education, and not based on your sexuality or your outward appearance, which makes all the sense in the world if we're talking about everything being inclusive and equal. But read the comments and talk to the people. When it comes to this particular group, it's not equality that they want. They don't want inclusion. That's not what they want. They want an advantage. They want no accountability. Just read. I can't make it up. We got another person that has some sense. Awesome job, Governor. Millions of Texas people support you, sir. We absolutely do. That's why we moved to Texas and bring families to Texas. But unfortunately, the people that were here that are Texans, that are entitled, and just like the rest of the country, they have a lot to say, but they're also tearing apart the republic brick by brick. Why is DEI the boogeyman now? It used to be called affirmative action. Affirmative action was never the boogeyman, but also affirmative action was as well against the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which is, it contradicts it. Affirmative action also meant forced placement of certain people based on meeting quotas instead of their expertise or their education or their abilities. It was based on their appearance. Affirmative action is very similar to DEI, and both have no place in society. However, if you want to apply that to your personal life with who you date, who you spend your time around, which is what they do, they only hang around their own people. They only do things with each other. They're a cult. We're not allowed to. You can do whatever you want to. It just won't be the law of the land, and it just will not be enforced on everyone, and not kids in school. You can move your kids to a school that of all kids that look like your kids only, and you guys can play that game and do whatever you want, but do it with yourselves. Do not expect the rest of us Americans, proud Americans, to participate in your cult, your delusions. We're not going to do it. Y'all see how Republicans pick the smallest things and make their entire belief system around it? Now DEI is everyone being blamed for everything over simply Trump being against it. What? DEI is actually a really big thing. It's one of the biggest. Well, it was. It's not the biggest anymore. Trump is just our representative who is doing what the American people mandated, which is removing it. It serves no purpose and has no place in our society. And we appreciate Trump for doing it. Remember, Trump is only your president if you allow him to be. You can choose to move to another country where Trump is no longer your president. There are flights to Ghana and Algeria and Nigeria and, Sierra Leone, Equatorial Guinea, South Africa. There's a lot of countries on another continent that you won't have to worry about Trump. And everybody there will look like you. Remaining in this country is an option. And there's someone else using Hot Wheels, which is also to try to poke fun at him being in a wheelchair, which is a strange position to hold. They make very weird bedfellows, but I digress. Another making fun of a man in a wheelchair as if they could not be in a wheelchair next. All it takes is just one wrong move on the road and you will also be in a wheelchair. Ban himself. Why would he do that? We elected him to be the governor. We elected you to nothing. NRA have had him in their pockets for a long time. They just want to sell guns, but don't worry about the consequences. I missed the point on where that matters or where that makes up anything. Let's see what the comments are saying. What does this have to do with guns? Oh my God, dude. This is exactly. As a black man, this is great, and I support this 100%. DEI hurts black folks more than it helps us. Bingo. That's a bingo. Oh, 11 replies. Let's see what they have to say about Kevin. Yes, DEI is shit, but I can say Republicans have done something specifically for black people, which Democrats haven't done anything. I can say of two things: Civil Rights Voting Act and Juneteenth holiday. I'll be honest. Civil Rights Voting Act is pointless because if you are black, you can only vote Democrat. That's a part of the requirements to be in the cult. You can only vote Democrat. So it's kind of pointless to have the right to vote when you can't choose who you're going to vote for because of all the pressure from the people around you. But that's if you're a follower. If you're not a follower, you'll do what you want to do. But for the most part, they're cult members. To be in a cult requires you to have a follower mentality. But Juneteenth, I'll be honest with you, the name doesn't make any sense. It should be called the American National Thank a White Man for Your Freedom Day, since Juneteenth celebrates the day that white soldiers who risked their lives discovered that in Texas they were still slaves years after the Civil War ended. And they gave them information and told them that you're free now and you can do whatever you want. You don't have to actually live here. But remember, the slaves were not necessarily slaves. They were indentured servants who were from families that were captured, native tribes that were turned into slaves instead of being killed. And then they eventually worked out something where there was indentured servitude. So that's why when they told them to leave these plantations, a lot of them were like, well, I'm actually working here for this person. I'm not actually a slave. That's why I tell people the stories that people tell you about slavery, a lot of it is just made up BS that they just come up in their imaginations. A lot of gay men write these slave stories about buck breaking and rapes from the master. None of them were there. It's not recorded history. People are just, the homoerotic fantasies that are being pushed on people as stories about slavery. They don't add up. It doesn't hold water because it's fake. Also, the whole idea of people being on a boat chained up with no bathrooms and no kitchens and no nothing, and they were able to live for months on a boat ride from Africa to the United States is also science fiction nonsense. That's not true. So your victimhood stories of the transatlantic slave trade are also false and fake. It makes no sense. But remember, that's why they won't question them, because remember, the Department of Education, the focus in schools is not on critical thinking skills. The focus in schools is on memorization. You have to memorize what they tell you to remember. How can you discern if a child is smart or not when the requirements are, well, do you remember what I told you yesterday? Instead of, can you figure something out? That's just, well said. In the comments, actually, Kev did good. Well, right there. Can you explain? Do you think it's right to lower standards for minorities? Legit question. Yeah, that's a very legit question. Are minorities mentally handicapped, and should standards be lowered for them? You can't ask for one without admitting to the other. Tell me, say Rico. Say right-wing Rico. Rico, listen. Minorities are slow, mentally handicapped, and they cannot figure things out. We need standards lowered. If you admit that to me, that you cannot compete with others because you have a mental disability based on your skin color, if you admit that to me, then I will support lowering standards for you. But there's no way you can say that you're equal and you're not less than, but you want to be graded on and tested as if you are less than. The two cannot be. There's no way I can't go along with one without the other. We have to stay consistent through this whole thing. And until you admit that, I can't agree with lowering standards. I can never go along with it. I got to call it out. Why does diversity equate to lower standards? Diversity is needed, but also you should be qualified for said industry. Me personally, I don't want to work with all Black people, white, Mexican, etc. Everyone needs to be included. It's the American way. This is a person who sounds like he has conflicting views that he's never said out loud, and he's contradicting himself in his own comment. Why does diversity equate to lower standards? Diversity is needed, but you also should be qualified. Well, if diversity is the goal, you can't have both. You're either going to be either your focus is diversity or is it qualifications? It can't be both. Because if it's merits based, then it's not guaranteed to be diverse. It's going to be based off of the merits. So you can't have it both ways. If you choose someone based off skin color and not merit, how is that better? If your company referred to you as their DEI hire, would that be okay? Or would you find that offensive? Think about it. Remember back when Joe Biden said, I'm going to hire a Black woman. Then Kamala Harris gets hired, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to hire a Black woman in the name of being diverse, equitable, including Black women. Not based on her credentials and her expertise or the fact that she was the best running mate. She was the definition of a DEI candidate, a DEI hire. He said, I'm looking for the best. I'm looking for a Black woman, not the smartest woman, not the most qualified woman. I'm specifically looking for a Black woman. Don't argue with me. Argue with your mother. Argue with the video, argue with Biden. Don't argue with me. I'm not the enemy here. I'm just the messenger. I'm talking to you about what happened. So why would you be mad if somebody calls you a DEI hire if you think DEI makes sense? What if when your kid gets to school and they're saying, hey, I want you to meet Johnny, this is a DEI student. Is it a compliment or is it an insult? So are you begging that we remove compliments from schools? Are you begging that we remove insults? Which one is it? You can't have it both ways. If your company referred to you as their DEI hire, would that be okay? Or would you find that offensive? All this forced diversity is effing joke. You ever wonder why it's just here? Why not China or Nigeria? Why nobody's forcing that on them? Excellent point. Man, he's cooking with gasoline today. I like this Kuda guy. I'm gonna follow him. He gets a follow from me. Everyone being included is not the American way. Exactly. That's what race baiting politicians lead you to believe. Having the freedom to choose who you're surrounded by and work with is the real American way. Bro, your bro is cooking. Bro, he's cooking. What the only thing I need from a politician, especially the president, is to get out of my way. Oh, smaller government, less people. That's all I tell people all the time. The best thing the government can do is get out of my way. Take their regulations and their EPA BS and get out of my way. Let me go with my move. Let me do what I'm going to do. I do not need the government in my way. And that's all they do is hold you back, slow you down, and put up hurdles for you to jump over just to get things done. Exactly, Kev. So we agree. DEI is SHIT. Nothing the government has ever done to benefit Black people has ever actually benefited Black people. It's designed to keep them reliant on the government. Okay, I'm glad we went through these comments today. Yes, DEI is SHIT, but I can say Republicans have done something specifically. We went over that one. And then here goes me just liking every damn comment. Now let's go back to the regular bliggities, the regular dusties. We need to go and roll his ass out of office. That's failed parenting and Department of Education combined. You can't speak, you can't type, you can't write, and you don't understand why. I'm just gonna ask, like, why? Why is a bad comment? Oh, wait a minute. It says I'm not allowed to comment anymore. Let me see here. Couldn't post comment. I think the Dallas dosage is on to me making replies. Well, I can still read for now. I hope you idiots understand the difference between DEI and being disabled. Oh my God. The answer is they don't. They don't. That's in M design, the M signs. Stephen Hawkins was disabled and he was hired and revered because of his skills and intellect. If he would have been revered because of his disability, then he would have been a DEI hire. Same with Abbott. Disabled but qualified for his job. DEI would be Kamala Harris or Biden or both. Mentally disabled but propped up because they are actually mentally disabled. Very true. But also, I don't believe any of the stories about Stephen Hawking's. I don't believe that was what he was saying at all. I think that there was somebody pretending that they knew what he was saying and just lying to you and coming up with their own theories and using this disabled person's body in that wheelchair to push propaganda, I guess. I don't know. But I doubt that that's what he was saying, just all this complex intellectual stuff. And then this other person is the only person that can translate what he was saying. And she was just writing it all down like, this is what he said. And it's like, I don't know if this is what he said. Like, I can't, that's my only thing about being able to individually verify. And that's why you can't have just one source for information. The way it works in science, right? You're supposed to, for example, say I'm in Texas right now and I say, hey, look, if you take red and blue, put them together, you're going to get green. I should be able to send red and blue crayons, whatever, to New York, Seattle, Zimbabwe. They all test it themselves and say, wow, we all got the same result. That's how you verify a fact. If there's only one person that says, hey, if you mix red and green together and you get, red and blue together, you get green. But when everybody else tries it, or no one else can even get the experiment because nobody has access to the crayons with those colors, well, then how can you even verify that what I'm saying is true or what anybody's saying is true? There's no way to, there's no way to test it out or try it. There's only one person telling you what Stephen Hawking said. It's not like there was like multiple people like, yeah, I heard that motherfucker say, I read it. He typed it up. We all read it. No. One source. It's kind of like a Helen Keller type thing. It was very weird. I never trusted it. I thought it was, you don't want to make fun of it, but it was just like, when you think about it, it's kind of funny. Abbott, he comes up for re-election soon. Oh my God. Oh, these people are not. Abbott was already re-elected. He can't run for a third term. Hopefully this person does not drive a school bus with kids on it. But let's finish. He comes to re-election soon, and we need to vote his racist, misogynistic, coward ass out of office before any more kids or women die underneath his watch. Hey, who died? He sucks. Don't know why. Ban Nico at every level in Texas. I don't know who Nico is. Libtards are going to tard. That they are. True. 4 years late, buddy, but okay. What are you waiting for? You've been the governor all this time. Okay, I have to agree with that. Greg Abbott has been the governor this whole time. This should not have persisted this long. DEI should have been banned, and it should have never been instituted in schools in Texas, ever. So, but maybe he's, braver now to fight this fight because Trump's back in office. Maybe that's it. Which I can understand too. I mean, it is an uphill battle. Yeah, just more wheelchair stuff. DEI bans DEI. Abbott's not DEI. Not his job to help you as a Texan either. Take the ramps away from the Capitol building since equity doesn't matter. I want to see them roast this person. False. 30 something, 40 comments. What this means is that the world is healing. I'm not the only one responding to these idiots and countering their arguments. It wasn't okay to do so because you were worried about being called and something with an ist on it, misogynist, racist, whatever ist. We don't care about that anymore because now we're immune to insults. Call me what you want. It won't hurt me, and you won't do nothing to me in person if you saw me. So do I care about what strangers on the internet say about me in a roundabout way? I don't. It doesn't affect me in real life. In real life, they will shake my hands and chuck and jive around me. They won't say a word. And that goes for anybody. They're not bothering you in real life. So why are you taking them so seriously? Why are you so concerned about people liking you online? But this is the internet. No one likes anybody. And that's the beauty of being an American. You don't have to like anybody. You can specifically dislike somebody based on whatever you want. You can't stop them from doing anything based on you not liking them for whatever reason, but you don't have to like anyone. Again, the education system through the Department of Education has failed, and I'm glad it's being banned and defunded, and I'm glad DEI is being removed because look at the people it generated. And this is somebody saying the same thing as me. The ADA, American Disabilities Act, and DEI are not the same. 14 likes. That is hilarious. You missed the point. Equity and inclusion, diversity is not about race. I don't have to say anything. The clapbacks in the comments are doing enough. Do me a favor. We'll go through some more comments a little bit later. Like and subscribe. I just wanted to point out some of these things I've seen. This is the video I just shared. It's a really good watch. But if you want to know who I am or who I'm replacing or why I'm making videos all of a sudden or where I'm at, where I'm coming from or why I'm here, look at the name of the podcast. But also look at the video I just shared and you'll understand why I'm going to be here. It's because I have to. There is a big opening. There's a big gap coming. And, even people who you think didn't comply, they actually secretly complied so that they could fly down to Brazil or go to Mexico on vacation back in 2021, 2022. And they wanted to go to Hawaii and they just couldn't wait. So they went and did it. And they memory holed it and forgot they did it and got on here and talked out about it later when it became cool to do so. But eventually it's going to catch up to them like it caught up to this guy right here. And you're going to see them do this and then they're going to just go bloop. And there'll be just somebody like myself who's going to be able to just stand here and talk to you with no problems and explain it to you. And so I'm here. You're going to have questions and I'm here to answer them. No worries. So anyway, like and subscribe, share the video, and I'll be back on in a little while to go over some other topics. Thank you and see you shortly.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.